It is Friday.
Damn!
We are here for last week's top sellers on the COMC site. Baseball, football, basketball, hockey, and Marvel today. Stick around. Hello to all my sports card collectors, investors, all of my collectibles friends. We are almost to the weekend. I hope that everybody is having an amazing day, amazing week. What's up? What's going on for the weekend? We're actually dealing with a little bit of the hurricane stuff is coming up on the East Coast, so it's really just kind of raining all day. I'm in North Carolina, so tropical storm now, I believe. So hopefully the worst is over. Just kind of worried about power outages / internet outages is what I'm really kind of mostly concerned about. If you're new here, you're looking for daily sports card collectible style content, then you have come to the right place. We like to talk about cards, hobby stuff, industry, newsy type stuff, all that stuff. So definitely hit the big red button, the subscribe button down below, the like button if you like what you hear so we can spider these videos out to the sports card masses. Also connect with me on IG at Sports Card Dad, and I'm also on the Twitter, the Sports Card Dad. All right, guys, we've got the data from COMC, last week's top sellers. This is by volume, not by sales numbers, and that is because we don't want necessarily someone to have a $100,000 sale and they're number one on the list. So it's based on volume, not dollar amount. It also includes sales directly on the COMC website, the sales that are done through eBay, the port sales, etc. So it's just kind of wrapping it all into one big bucket and then spitting out numbers for you. Some side notes from COMC. This might come as a shock to some, but probably not too many. Aaron Judge was the number one overall seller across the site in dollars and in volume. So Aaron Judge stuff going absolutely bonkers. This is an example of a kind of a proven prospect that had some injuries, had some stuff going on, but had showed promise that this year just broke out. But I remember a lot of talk a year ago or so about Aaron Judge cards, getting in on Aaron Judge cards. And man, for the people that got in, 9 months ago, a year ago on Judge cards while they were down, they're doing pretty well today. I've got a separate video coming out that is probably going to ruffle some feathers that revolves around Aaron Judge and home runs and PEDs and all that stuff. And so that will be coming out soon, probably over the weekend, but I'm excited to kind of hear your feedback on that one as well. Second to Aaron Judge, Albert Pujols, number 2 in overall volume across the entire site. So Albert Pujols, Aaron Judge. Baseball really the talk of the town, which is kind of interesting because we're right into football season, and then you've also got basketball season that's revving up as well. So you would think that, now granted, I know that we're kind of getting to the end of baseball. We got baseball playoffs coming up. So for the baseball folks, they're all excited. Makes sense. Will Aaron Judge get to 62? What has he got, 6 or 7 games left? We will see. All right, so that baseball list, of course, we just talked about it. Number 1, Aaron Judge. Number 2, Albert Pujols. Number 3, Mike Trout. Number 4, Derek Jeter. And Nolan Ryan sneaking in at number 5, one of the all-time great pitchers. What does he have, like a billion Ks strikeouts? The guy was incredible. True Iron Man in the sport. Let's move over to football. Number 1, Jalen Hurts. Unbelievable, Jalen Hurts. Not that I think that Jalen Hurts is not a great quarterback, but the Eagles started off 3-0. There's all the excitement. This just kind of has the feeling of letdown to me. And I know that one of my hobby friends, the sports card investigator, Andy, is going to say, hey, the Eagles are everything. They're winning the Super Bowl and all this and that. And Jalen Hurts is for real. I'm not saying that he's not for real, but I saw actually one highlight from him where he kind of dodged and juked and took a hit right at the goal line and scored. Great play, but it's just anytime you see these running quarterbacks, we'll talk about it here in a minute with another one, it just makes you a little bit nervous. Number 3, Tua. Unfortunately, last night I did not watch this game, but Tua, I believe he had to be taken off on a stretcher because of head/neck injuries is what I saw the report as. He got hit bad last week. I mean, he was shaken up last week. It was obvious. He got up from a hit, then quickly fell down again. Did not look right at all last week. They had, I think he threw, 6 TDs, had an amazing game and all of that stuff. And he's obviously gutsy and just playing his heart out. But Tua, if you go back to his Alabama days, he had knee injuries, he had ankles. I mean, this guy has been dealing with injuries for a while, and now he's starting to deal with more of the concussion stuff, which is scary. I mean, this is the stuff that no one wants to see. And it's not as if there have been kind of these hits that are flagrant or something like a spearing, a helmet to helmet type stuff. I mean, a lot of it is just him getting hit, coming back, and then just hitting his head, on the turf. Of course, it's bad, but I mean, they're fairly normal occurrences in the NFL that you see with quarterbacks, running backs, with all these guys. So for Tua, it's scary, because not only do you want him to be able to have a good career, but also just a life after football. And he's so young, taking all these hits, these concussions and all that. I'm not a medical doctor, so maybe they're going to say, hey, he's all good to go. I mean, I guess it was a Thursday night game, so maybe he's got 10 days to get ready for the next game. Maybe he gets out of concussion protocol. But for Tua Cards, though, this has to be concerning. It's got to be a big concern. I mean, frankly, there's all sorts of speculation that, he'll be fine. He'll be back in the next game. And then there's some people who are like, this dude's not playing for the rest of the season. So depending on what you're in, the card market for Tua is going to be a wild, volatile one. And I'm just curious to kind of watch that. But as of last week, after Tua's monster game, of course, lots of volume, a lot of craziness for his cards. Number 4, Trevor Lawrence. He kind of showed out against the Chargers. Justin Herbert is beat up, and they smacked the Chargers. Trevor Lawrence, we talked about this. I mean, the thing that makes me nervous about Trevor Lawrence cards is there's just so many rookie cards, but they are transacting. A lot of people are excited about Trevor Lawrence. And to round out number 5 is Lamar Jackson. He's kind of pegged as that forgotten guy, just a guy that goes out and performs and doesn't really get that hobby love in comparison to some of these other young QBs. The big thing with Lamar Jackson, though, again, you've got a guy that's just a superior athlete. If I could make a comparison to another player, he really reminds me of prime Michael Vick. Actually, I think, though, that he plays on a team with a much better defense than Michael Vick did when he was with the Falcons. As a Saints fan, I saw a lot of Michael Vick over his Falcons career, and he was a lot to deal with, especially when he got out into space. He would just take off for 60 yards. And so Lamar Jackson, a little bit of a bigger version of that. But Mike Vick also had huge arm strength. I mean, he was a great player. It was just the decision making that was sometimes off with Mike Vick as far as when to throw and all that stuff. But Mike Vick could throw it 60 yards downfield on a whip. He could just whip it, So I think that is just a lot of the quarterbacks in the league right now are these combination hybrid QBs. They can throw it, but they can also take off and run, which is awesome and it's exciting, but it's also scary. I mean, look at, Cam Newton is a prime example of a big guy that could go around and take those hits on the run, but it just caught up with him. It caught up with him to where he just wasn't the same player once he got kind of post age 30 years old, 31, 32. I mean, he just wasn't the same guy because he took so many shots. I mean, just monster hits. But he was just a big guy that was a bruiser. He could, he could throw. He could also run it. And so the league has turned into this now, and it's just a little bit scary. I think if you are a football card collector / investor, you're buying into guys. Maybe you are just a little bit more like, hey, you know what? I'll take the pocket passer. I'll take the Tom Brady style, pocket passer because you just don't know. All right, moving on to Marvel. A lot of the usual suspects. Of course, that Marvel Metal set has been red hot, and there's been a lot of secondary sales on that stuff. So number 1 is Spider-Man. Number 2 is Wolverine. Always kind of those top 2. Venom sneaks into number 3. Captain America, number 4. And number 5, a mysterious choice, Mysterio. There's Mysterio cards that are moving around on the COMC site for Marvel. Hockey. Number 1, Wayne Gretzky, our usual number 1. Number 2, Connor McDavid. Number 3, Sidney Crosby. Number 4, Austin Matthews. And number 5, Alex Ovechkin. Kind of the usual suspects on the hockey list. There's always a name or two that kind of changes, but the hockey list is pretty consistent. Last but not least, we've got basketball. It's coming up, guys. The basketball season is starting. Some noticeable names that are missing this week that I thought are kind of interesting. But again, you've got players that make sense, but players like the Ant-Man are not on this list this week. Zion is not on the list. Number 1 is LeBron. Number 2 is Steph Curry. Number 3, Kevin Durant jumping up and making some moves. I think it's finally like, all right, he's going to play. He's playing for the Nets. They're ready to roll. People are getting excited about Kevin Durant. Number 4, Luka Doncic. And number 5 is Giannis. Giannis has not been on this list over the last couple of weeks. People are kind of waking up and being like, hey, What's going on with Giannis? People are getting into buying some Giannis cards. A lot of excitement for the upcoming NBA season. Just so much talent in the NBA. So much young talent too. I mean, it's just unbelievable. It feels like I've had a lot of people come back to me because I've been talking about the last couple of basketball draft classes just being kind of ho-hum and not a lot of excitement because you had Luka Trey, then you had Zion Ja. And you got, Cade Cunningham, Evan Mobley. But a lot of people are saying like, hey, look, these last couple draft classes, I know Chet just got injured, this newest draft class, but basically saying like, hey, there's a lot of really strong players out of these last couple of draft classes that just maybe you might take a year, 2 years for them to really kind of emerge. So basketball, man, lots of young talent there. It's going to be fun to watch. Really, we look at the Warriors are just absolutely stacked again. So we'll just have to see. Can anybody contend with the Warriors in the West? There's a lot of good teams. So we will see, guys. Let me know your thoughts. Any surprising names here? Are you doing work on COMC.com? Are you buying, selling on COMC? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.